This is Mentalist Joe Riggs here, aka Shearlock from the forums, and this is my first YouTube video. Well, I have a lot of YouTube videos on my other channel for mentalism and performing, but my first Shearlock Locksport related video. And I've been agonizing for weeks over what to film first, which lock to pick first. So I decided, instead of pick a lock in my first video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you guys a system that's easy and awesome for knowing those codes on American locks, the 3 alphabet letter codes that reveal the month and year of manufacture. Like me, I'm sure many of you up until now have used some form of cheat sheet to know the answers. And over time, you may start memorizing 1 or 2, maybe even 3 of the letters, but you still have to refer to the cheat sheet. And as a mentalist, I couldn't stand using a cheat sheet because I often lecture on memory techniques and I demonstrate various memory techniques all over the world, like the mind palace, the method of loci, phonetic encoding, and so on. So I wanted to come up, instead of use one of those pre-existing systems I have to memorize these, I decided I wanted to come up with an independent system that you guys can use. Because if I used the memory palace, well, I can't expect all of you guys to have a memory palace. So I decided, instead of use a pre-existing memory technique I have, to come up with something specific for these American lock codes that's easy and simple and reliable, that everyone can use, so you don't have to use cheat sheets anymore. And every time you encounter an American lock and look at those letters, you'll instantly know the month and the year without having to refer to some piece of paper. So let's get started. Let me move some of this stuff out of the way. And under these locks, I'm sure you guys will see what you've seen many times, and it's a sloppily written version of the standard American lock code cheat sheet. Many of you will have these. I had one on my phone always, and every time I encountered an American lock, I had to refer to this chart to work out the month and the year on the lock. And after a while, as a so-called memory expert, I couldn't stand that I had to keep referring to a cheat sheet, and I decided to memorize them. And like I said, I could have just put all this information into my memory palace and that would be that, but it wouldn't help you guys very much. So I decided to try and come up with something else. And after a couple of hours of agonizing and getting frustrated, I came up with a system that frankly is awesome. So let's get right to it. Now, memory is generally all about relationships. Like, the memory palace works by creating relationships between information you don't know to information you already know very, very well, and that enables you to store it in your memory. So what I wanted to do, and what I had to do, was try to find relationships in this information that already exists there, so I could come up with an easy way for memorizing and or decoding these on the spot. So I tried coming up with associations, like associating the number 1 to N, the number 2 to M, and so forth. And I tried that for about an hour and I failed miserably. I tried experimenting with rhymes and riddles and other techniques, all of which failed. I spent a couple hours on it and I ended up getting so frustrated that I just gave up and said, I'll just use my memory palace. Everyone else can just go to hell. But that's not good enough. So I abandoned this, and I was working on a formula for some math for an unrelated project I'm doing, and I decided to take a break from that and come back to this. And I think because when I returned to this, I had math on the brain, and I looked at this system in a more numerical type way. The answer to the question of how to come up with a system for these happened almost instantly, and I was thrilled by it. And ever since then, It's the only way I use to decipher these letter codes, and I think you guys are going to like this. Now, I don't know about you, but when I encounter an American lock, most of you will know of the 3 alphabet letters, the first letter represents the month. The next 2 represent the year of manufacture. Now, I don't know about you, but when I encounter an American lock, I am most interested in the year. So I generally ignore the first letter and try and figure out the year, because that's the most valuable piece of information to me, and after that I'll figure out the month. So to make things easier, I'm going to start off only dealing with the last 2 letters, which represent the year. We're going to start with the year. So let's get rid of this information here. Just kind of hang in there with me. I'm not used to making these close-up videos. Like I said, I've got lots of videos on my other channel for mentalism and related things, but I'm generally on stage and such. I'm not usually so up close and personal, which is awkward. I don't know how you guys do it, but hopefully I'll be doing a lot more. So to the year, as many of you know, what you have are the numbers 1 through 0 written like this. 1 second. 8, 9, and ends with 0. And I'm sure a lot of you have noticed that to figure out the letters for the numbers, you just start with E, and you write the alphabet from right to left instead of left to right, like E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, and that's that. So to figure out the year on any American lock, if you write 1 to 0, then under that, start with E and write right to left, you'll have the standard cheat sheet. Well, what I didn't want to do is every time I encounter an American lock to have to refer, like I said, to a cheat sheet or mentally write out these numbers in my head and then write the alphabet letters underneath. Like I said, I wanted to come up with a system to just know them. So I studied this, like I said, and when I returned to it and looked at it through a mathematical lens, I figured it out. Because, like I was saying, you want relationships. With all memory systems, it's all about creating relationships. So I started looking at the pre-existing numerical relationships here. Now, for instance, the third number over is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 alphabet letters over, and 8 and 3 are 11. Now don't worry, you will not need any math in this system. There will be no math. However, I am showing you the relationships that make this work. And for instance, the 7th number over is the 4th alphabet letter from, the numbers left to right, the alphabet right to left, and that adds to 11. So there is a concrete relationship here, and it was because of that that I was able to come up with this. So let's show you the system. Now, I warn you, when I show you this, a lot of you are going to say, oh, that's easy, that's obvious. And you're right, this is easy and obvious once you know it. Before that, not so much, because up until now I was referring to a cheat sheet, but now I don't have to. But when you learn anything like this, the initial reaction is usually, oh, that was easy, that was obvious, but which is true, but don't discredit it for that, because the best things when it comes to memory techniques are easy and seem obvious after you know them. So let's do this. What you need is 10 objects that you already have and you know very well, and that's easy. 10 fingers. Now, trying to get my hands all on camera here. So every time you encounter an American lock, we're going to ignore the first alphabet letter and we're going to use the last 2 for the year, and the last 2 are F and N. So it's as easy as this. All you have to do is remember the letter E always. E is the only thing you actually have to memorize. You're going to need to remember E every time. All you do is, it's just this easy. hold your hands out in front of you. I can't get my humongous hands on cam, so just hang in there with me. Hold your hands in front of you, and you're going to number your fingers very naturally. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 0. It's important to not have your last finger, to not count it as 10, to count it as 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. That's all you have to do. That's the only thing you have to know for this entire system to work. Check it out. Remember I said you always have to know E? To figure out the year of any American lock, all you do is hold out your hands and you count through the alphabet right to left, always starting with E until you get to that number. For instance, here we start with E and we count right to left. So E, F. Now F ends on this finger, and this is my 9th finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9th finger. So F is a 9. It's just that easy, guys. It really is. Check it out. The next letter is N. So like I said, you count through the alphabet starting always with E from right to left until you get to your number. So, or your letter. Here this is N, so watch. E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N. N lands on my first finger, finger number 1. If we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. N lands on my first finger, finger 1. So N, it is a 1. So this lock is from 1991. Now, like I told you, we'll get to the months in a minute. So let's try another one real quick. Now, some of you out there are already going, oh my God, that is so easy. How come I didn't think of that? But that's how it is with memory systems. It's not obvious until you think about it and think about it, and you can come up with it. And I used the cheat sheet for months, and then I sat down, spent a lot of effort, and finally came up with this, and afterwards felt like, well, that was obvious. But hey, the best things are. And for those of you who have been using cheat sheets up to now, hopefully like me, at this point you're going, this is fantastic, because it really is to look at these codes and just be able to work it out immediately without ink, pen, and paper or any kind of cheat sheet. So I hope you guys like this. On this one, ignore the I. That's on some of the more modern ones. We have O-E-N. Now remember I said we're ignoring the first letter. That represents a month. So we have E-N. E-N on this one. Now, like I said, always starting with E, count from right to left until we reach our letter, which is E. So on this one, counting from right to left with E. So E actually is the first one, but it lands on finger number 0. If you remember, they're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. So counting from E, right to left, E is the first one. That's finger 0, so E is a 0. N. We already had N earlier, but we'll do it again. Starting from E, all 10 fingers, right to left, all the way to the letter N. E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N is finger 1. So N is a 1. So this lock is for O1, and this works on every lock, people. So that it's just as simple as that. Hold your hands out in front of you. Start always with the letter E. Count through the alphabet from E to the alphabet letter on the lock. Whichever finger you land on, the number of that finger, 1, 2, 3, 4 here, is the number you're looking for. One more just real quick before we move on to the months is this one, YFJ. So we're interested in the F and the J, obviously, for the year, FJ. So right to left starting with E. EF. F lands on this finger. This is my 9th finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9th finger. So F is always a 9. And the letter J, starting with E, always E, F, G, H, I, J lands here. And that is my 5th finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So J is always a 5. 95. Now, It's just that simple. That's it. So anytime you encounter an American lock, you can figure out the year just by holding out your hands and going through the alphabet from right to left, starting with E always until the letter you reach. Whichever finger that letter lands on, the numerical value of that finger is the number in the year you are after. And for a lot of you that only care about the years, that's it. You're done. So let's go on to the months real quick. The months, there's a minor alteration in the months, but other than that, everything is the same. And the alteration I speak of is this. So the months of the year, January, and I'm going to try and hurry, so this will be sloppy. February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, I forgot the months, November, and December. I can't get December quite on camera. Let me put it closer to November. There we go, December. And with the months, the letters that go with those, as you've seen so many times, are these. So with the months, what we're going to do, and I'll explain why in a minute, is remove November and December. We're reducing the months to 10 objects, so the system mathematically works the same way. So we're going to remove November and December altogether and only deal with these. I'll tell you what to do with November and December in a minute. Now, if you do that, all you have to always remember is the letter Q. So if you're dealing with the year, you remember the number, you remember the letter E, and you always start with the letter E. If you're dealing with the months, it's the letter Q. And it works the same way, basically. So if we take a lock here, the first letter is the one that represents the month. This is a Y. So we hold out our hands and we count again from right to left, always starting with Q until we get to the letter we want, which is Y. And if we do that, we'll get Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y. And it lands on my second finger right here, 1, 2. So it's the second month of the year. So it lands here, it's my second finger, so the month is the second month of the year. Just that easy, folks. So it's February, obviously, it's the second month of the year. Let's try another one real quick. Just remember, with the months, you start from Q, count across your fingers from right to left. When you hit the finger of the alphabet letter you're looking for, the numerical value of that finger is the same as that month in the year. So if we take another lock here, this one is a Z, so always starting with Q, from right to left, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. Z ends on our first finger, the very first one. So it's the first month of the year, which is January. That's it. It works the same way. Camera completely died right while I was recording. Like I said, this is my first video, so it's happened to you. Now it happened to me. But anyways, like I was saying, if you always start with the letter Q on the months, and you count from right to left, whichever finger you land on, that finger, like here it would be number 4, it would be the 4th month of the year. So let me just give you one more example because of that camera dying, and we will use this lock here. U is the first one, so we'll do U. So again, with our fingers going from right to left, starting always with Q, we go Q, U, and it lands right there on the 9th finger, so it would be the 9th month, which is September. Not sure if I already did that lock because I had gotten to that lock and threw it before the camera died earlier, but so if I already did that one, I apologize. So works that way through all the months from January to October. So in summary, with all the years on the American lock and the first 10 months of every year, this system with your fingers going right to left starting with E on the years and right to left starting with Q on the months, you can figure out the years and months for every American lock. But what to do about O and P? Earlier I told you I removed November and December, and that was so mathematically the system would work the same for the months as the year, and it was important that it's that way. So with November and December, those are O and P. Now when you encounter an American lock, and out of the 10 I have here, only one of them starts with an O or a P, so it isn't as often you'll encounter this. But when you encounter an O or a P as your first letter, you do something different. Now, the way to remember this is I think of P.O. Box. If you've ever mailed anything in the U.S. or sent mail to the U.S., you'll be very familiar with P.O. Box. There are other ways to remember that. You can come up with an acronym like painfully obvious, like, you know, if the first letter is painfully obvious, meaning in P or O, but I think of P.O. Box. So, if the first letter on the lock is a P or an O, as in P.O. Box, all you have to do is remember it's November or December, and you don't need the system on that, and you just move on to the year. So, how to remember which one's which, that O is December and that November is P. Now this is going to sound ridiculous, some of you will probably laugh, but when it comes to memory systems, things that are silly or ridiculous are the easiest to remember. So to remember which one's which, I remember 2 words. All you have to do when I write these words out is say them once or twice out loud, and you will permanently remember them, I promise you. And those words are Decembo, like Rambo, and November. So I remember Decembo and November. As ridiculous as it may seem, whenever I encounter an American lock, then the first letter is an O or a P, as in P.O. Box. I remember that if it's an O, it's Decembo, it's December. If it's a P, it's November, it's November. So if it is not an O or a P, then you use the system. And you also use the system on all the years. So I'll call this the finger system. So to end this, we will just look up one last lock I have here. This one is VHF. So we'll do the whole thing real quick. I'm sorry this video ended up this long, but I wanted to explain this well. In the future, my lockpicking videos will not be nearly as long. So the first one is the month. So if you remember, I told you on the months, the first thing you notice is an O or a P from P.O. Box. It isn't, so I don't have to remember November and December, December, November, all that I just explained. If it isn't an O or P, we're using the system. So we're using the system, and the system is, for the month, always start with Q and count from right to left on our fingers. That's it, all the way to V. So Q, R, S, T, U, V. And V ends on my 5th finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's the 5th month of the year. January, February, March, April, May. So this lock was created in May. Now for the year, you remember you count from right to left, always starting with E. So all you really have to remember here is E and Q, other than the November and December thing. So for this system, E, we count from right to left on our fingers, starting with E, all the way to H, and then we'll do it with F. So to get to H, E, F, G, H. That is my 7th finger, 5, 6, 7th. So the first one is a 7, and then to get to F, E, F. F is right there, so that's my 9th finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. That's my 9th finger, so the F is a 9. So instantly, May 79. Now when you actually do this, it'll go much faster. I generally go Q, R, S, T, U, V. Okay, it's a May, E, F, G, so it happens really, really, really fast. E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N. And then I do it again, E, F, G, H, I, okay. Done, and I just know it. And the more you do this, the quicker it'll get. Oftentimes now, I don't even hold my hands in front of me. I'll have my hands at my sides, and I'll just go through my fingers very subtly, like that, and I'll know the month, then the first number of the year, and then the second number, very, very quickly. Over time, because you're giving your mind a logical way to relate the letters to the numbers by the left to right numbers and the right to left letters, you'll start to memorize these literally, and instantly you'll just know them. But what makes this so much stronger than brute force memory is if you just forced yourself to memorize these, just memorize them with flashcards or something, all memory over time goes away and deteriorates. So if you force yourself to just memorize these, over time you start to forget some of them, and when that happened, you would have no way to re-access the information. Doing it this way, you'll start to memorize them, and if you forget one, you'll always be able to go through your fingers and re-access the information instantly. So I apologize for rambling through this video, for any inarticulation that may have occurred. Like I said, this is my very first video. I'm not used to recording things so up close and personal, so I hope I didn't ramble too much, and I hope I didn't sound completely ridiculous. So that's it, guys. I got lock-picking videos coming up. Lots of them with these American locks, obviously. I also got some other great locks here. I'll show you real quick. Let me just get rid of these Americans that are all over the place. I got some excellent locks coming up. Almost there. Get all this stuff out of the way and grab this. Yes, locks coming up. This empty space here is where I had the American locks. This tray here is like what I call my practice tray. It has all the locks I'm practicing on or haven't opened. A lot of these locks were sent from Bosnian Bill. Thank you, Bosnian Bill. You are amazing. I also got a few from Jeff Moss. The rest come from auctions and eBay. And so we got some Abises here, a titanium. We got one of those NYC Housing Authority, some best locks coming up. Right there's quite a few best and quite a few challenge cylinders. That some of these have some evil alien technology in them, so I look forward to taking those, and we'll be taking them apart and cutting them. I will be doing a video on this cool pinning tray material I found. It's excellent. It is the most perfect pinning tray material I've ever found that's not designed to be so. So I will be doing a video on how you can find this and use this. So that's that for my first video. Just remember, on the numbers, start always from E. On the months, always start from Q. Unless, of course, the month is an O or P, like P.O. box, and then it's November or December, as in December, November. So that's it. Now you can know the month and date of any American lock without using a cheat sheet. This will be the longest video I do, so I apologize for that. Happy picking, and remember, don't break the law or Bosnian Bill will come and get you. Thanks.